Amos 5. I read from the Institute for Scripture Research, the ISR. It takes a direct translation because it takes a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Greek to English, and Aramaic to English. Yah is short for Yahweh, Yahweh, Yod-He, Vav-He. There's no difference. Yah is the Elohim of the heavens and the earth, the first and the last and the only. The letter J is about 600 years old. Yahweh is a very jealous El. He doesn't even want the names of idols or mighty ones that come to our lips. Remember, the letter J is about 600 years old, while the son of Elohim, Yehoshua, died on a stake for the sins of all of humanity more than 2,000 years ago. And a direct translation from Hebrew to English, Yehoshua, is Joshua. Amos 5. What did you find, Amos? Amos 5. Hear this word which I take up against you, this lamentation, O house of Israel. The maiden of Israel has fallen, not to rise again. She lies forsaken on her land, with no one to lift her up. For thus said the Master Yahweh, the city that goes out by 1,000 has 100 left, and that which goes out by 100 has 10 left to the house of Israel. For thus said Yahweh to the house of Israel, seek me and live, but do not seek Bethel, nor enter Gilgal, nor pass over to Beersheba, B-E' with a half a check mark, R-S-H-E-B with a line underneath of it, A. For Gilgal shall certainly go into exile, and Bethel become a non-entity. Seek Yahweh and live, lest he break down like fire upon the house of Joseph, and shall consume it with no one to quench it in Bethel. Joseph is Y-O-S-E with a half a check mark, P-H. O you who are turning right ruling to wormwood and have cast down righteousness to the earth, he who made Kimah, K-I-M-A-H, and Kesil, K-E-S-I-L, and who turns the shadow of death into morning and darkened day into night, who is calling for the waters of the sea and pours them out on the face of the earth. Yahweh is his name, who is flashing forth destruction upon the strong, so that destruction comes upon the stronghold. They hated the one who reproves in the gate, and they despise the one who speaks the truth. Therefore, because you trample on the poor and take grain taxes from him, you have built houses of hewn stone, but you are not going to dwell in them. You have planted pleasant vineyards, but do not drink wine from them. For I know your transgressions are many, and your sins are great, afflicting the righteous, and accepting bribes, and turning aside the poor at the gate. Therefore the wise keep silent at that time, for it is an evil time. Seek good and not evil, so that you live. And let Yahweh your Elohim of hosts be with you, as you have spoken. Hate evil and love good, and set up right ruling in the gate. It might be that Yahweh Elohim of hosts shows favor to the remembrance of Joseph. Therefore Yahweh Elohim of hosts, Yahweh said this, there is wailing in all open squares, and in all the streets they say, alas, alas, and shall call the farmer to mourning, and skilled lamenters to wailing. Skilled lamenters. Didn't know it took a skill. And in all vineyards there is wailing, for I pass through your midst, said Yahweh. Woe to you who are longing for the day of Yahweh. What does the day of Yahweh mean to you? It is darkness and not light, and when a man flees from a lion and a bear shall meet him, or entered his house, rested his hand on the wall, and a serpent shall bite him. Is not the day of YahWeh darkness and not light? Is it not very dark with no brightness in it? I have hated, I have despised your festivals, and I am not pleased with your assemblies, though you offer me ascending offerings and your grain offerings. I do not accept them, nor do I look on your fatted peace offerings. Take away from me the noise of your songs, for I do not hear the song of your stringed instruments, and let right ruling roll on like water, and righteousness like a mighty stream. You brought me slaughterings and meal offerings in the wilderness for 40 years, O house of Israel, but you took up Sikkuth, your sovereign, Sikkuth, Sikkuth, your sovereign, and Kayun, your idols, Kiyyun, your idols, your astral mighty ones, which you made for yourselves. Therefore I shall send you into exile beyond Damascus, Dammeseq, said YahWeh, Elohim of hosts, his name. That's his name, YahWeh. He is the Elohim of hosts, the Elohim of the heavens, the Elohim of the earth. He created everything. And I just want to point out, where is it? I have hated, I have despised your festivals, and I am not pleased with your assemblies. So when you're worshiping pagan idol holidays like Ishtar and Christmas and Halloween, and they're all the same. They're all from paganism. There's no denying it if you even bother to look it up instead of just going, no. Not gonna believe it. Stick my ears in my nose. Stick my ears in my nose. Literally, it doesn't make sense, because when people don't look things up, it literally just doesn't make sense as to why you could believe something but not look it up. We are not supposed to do man-made festivals. And Yah told them to remember the harvest, remember when you sow it, remember the Sabbath day, and remember the Passover. And then 1 week of unleavened bread as well. I think there's 2 weeks of unleavened bread, because there's Passover, and then there's something else. I can't remember what it's called. But that's it. Nothing else. You're not supposed to worship anything else on those days. It's just corruption amongst the sheep. Wolves in sheep's clothing. Even if you don't think that, if you think something might be different, you should always check. Like when I first heard about the coronavirus, I was like, I wonder if it has a US patent on it. And then I looked it up, and it does. It was filed in 2015, successfully patented in 2018. Less than a year later, literally like 9 months later, after the Bill Gates corporations did tests, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation did a test on the virus to see, an experiment, to see how many people it would kill. And they say 95 million. It's meant to target the elderly and the weak. That way, the alphabet people, who will be too numerous for any of the other intelligent people, will have a final say. And there's so many of them, and if we're allowing the age of consent to drop to 13, which is disgusting, I think it should be 25, but what do I know? And if it gets dropped down to 13, then that means all those alphabet kids that don't know anything about politics or their rights are going to have the right to vote, and they will vote it all out. But anyways,